people that perspire. There are people that sweat when they receive phone calls. There are people whose hearts start racing. There are even people that put their phone calls on do not disturb mode. Not for any reason. Wanaweka do not disturb mode ndio wasifanye nini? Ndio wasipigiwe simu. Also people who don't receive their phone calls immediately. Unajua unaweza pigia mtu several times na
sana Madam Joyce.
Asante sana.
Good morning.
Morning to you. How are you?
I'm good.
Uko mzima?
Niko mzima kabisa labda.
The day is good. Naona jua limetokezea vizuri.
Bila shaka.
And we thank God.
Japokuwa jua inatuumiza siku hizi.
Mvua itanyesha.
Hapo watu tulikuwa tunalia sana baridi.
Mvua itanyesha. Kwa hivyo hakuna shida. There are times and seasons.
Exactly.
Kwa hivyo hii ni season yake, ni time yake, time nyingine pia itakuja. So tusife moyo.
Bila shaka wanasema kwamba kila siku kila kitu na siku yake.
Kila kitu na siku yake.
Na majira yana siku zake pia. Na siku ya leo ningependa tuzungumzie kitu rahisi sana, kitu ambacho watu wengi wanaweza fikiri kwamba ni kitu ambacho ni automatic, kama kitu ambacho ni natural, lakini labda kama hujapata wosia ama hujapata ule ushauri kutoka kwa mtu ambaye anahusika na kitu hicho, labda utaweza kukielewa zaidi. Siku ya leo nataka tuzungumzie swala la phone call anxiety.
Yes.
Kana kwamba ile wasiwasi wa simu.
Yes. Leo tunataka kuongea about how to overcome phone call anxiety. How to overcome phone call anxiety. Kwa sababu there are many things that sometimes happen, and sometimes actually, as you are saying, you may take them for granted, but in the real sense, you should not take them for granted.
Right.
Sometimes school principals or even organizations, they may call me and request me to give them a student who did a certain course. Maybe a student mwenye amefanya education, maybe a student mwenye amefanya BCom marketing, ama BCom insurance, or any other course. Kwa hivyo saa ingine wanapata request pale, naulizwa kuna mwanafunzi amemaliza 4th year, amefanya this course, nataka kumpatia internship, ama nataka kumpatia kibarua kidogo, ama something like that. So recently I was called by a principal na akaniambia nimpatie mwanafunzi ambaye amemaliza 4th year, lakini amefanya maths and something, maths and another subject. So I nikaenda pale kwa mtandao with my students. I have career ambassadors. I told them forward to me somebody who has done this subject and that subject. Wakanitumia several numbers. So nikapiga simu. Sasa hii kitu yenye ilinifanya nikafikiria let me do this video on how to overcome phone call anxiety. Ni kwa sababu there are some wenye nilikuwa napigia and they are very enthusiastic, they answer you well, they give you information, yani unatoka hapo kama umefurahi. But there is one particular one that I called, a lady, and I really wondered whether even this one can teach, because she has done education, but the way she answered the phone call, actually she took time even to answer. And the way she was talking on phone call, nikaona this particular girl could be having phone call anxiety. So that's why I decided to do this particular video. And I want to tell our listeners that we are live on TikTok, Touch of Grace KE, and this video will also be a Touch of Grace KE YouTube channel, and therefore they can ask a question, they can leave a comment, they can share, they can subscribe, they can tap. Nasikianga huko kwa TikTok kuna kuanga na tap. They can also tap. But we want to talk about phone call anxiety. Phone call anxiety. What is this phone call anxiety? Now, phone call anxiety is basically fear of phone call.
Alright.
Ukisikia simu imepigwa, unaanza kutetemeka. Hata hujajua huyo mtu anataka kukuambia nini, but already unaanza kutetemeka, already unaanza kusweat, already unaanza unaanza kusikia you are not very comfortable, unaanza unaanza kukua restless, unaanza kukua anxious, your heart starts beating very fast, you become very very uncomfortable. So that's the fear of receiving a phone call. We also have a fear of making phone call, that unastahili kupigia mtu fulani lakini unashindwa utaanzaje. Unachukua simu, unaweka chini. Unachukua tena, unataka ku call, but unaweka chini. And you are feeling like you are not very comfortable making that particular phone call. So there are people that perspire. There are people that sweat when they receive phone calls. There are people whose hearts start racing. There are even people that put their phone calls on do not disturb mode. Not for any reason. Wanaweka do not disturb mode ndio wasifanye nini? Ndio wasipigiwe simu. Also people who don't receive their phone calls immediately. Unajua unaweza pigia mtu several times na huyu mtu hachukui simu. Either they delay to receive or they totally do not receive or they tell you kindly text, you know, wanakutext back, wanakuambia kindly text. Na huyu mtu hakuna kitu anafanya. So this is what we want to talk about. Phone call anxiety. Phone call anxiety. Mtu ambaye ana phone call anxiety.
Labda tukiendelea na mjadala wetu kwamba umezungumzia phone call anxiety kana kwamba msikilizaji wasiwasi wa kupokea simu.
Yes, wasiwasi.
Ama kuweza kuongea na simu.
Yes.
Kuna labda vitu ambavyo vinasababisha phone call anxiety.
Yes, kuna vitu ambazo zinasababisha phone call anxiety. One of them, you can have somebody who has phone call anxiety because of a certain ringtone.
Right.
Yani maybe hiyo simu kuna wakati ilipigwa na maybe haikubeba good news.
Alright.
Maybe ilibeba bad news. You received a call, it didn't carry good news. So that makes you even feel like not receiving any other call. So you become traumatic. You get trauma. You get trauma. You get frustration. So every time you get a phone call, unapata ile trauma ya kufikiria ama hii simu pia imebeba bad news ama imebeba bad news. So that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons is someone probably who received bad news through phone call. They can have anxiety of receiving a phone call. Then another one can be the source of the call. Where does that call come from? Labda unaona call inatoka pale job. And maybe uko job, every time ukipata simu ya job haikubebeangi good news. Maybe inaleta, you know, complaints hapa na pale, kusomewa hapa na pale. So every time you see a call from job, you feel anxiety. So the source of the call can also be a cause of anxiety. It can be the boss maybe calling you. It can be probably your spouse calling you. It can be your mom calling you. It can be your brother calling you. And every time these people call you, there is that probably you don't feel comfortable, you are not happy, and so on. So that can be a reason for having the anxiety or for having phone call anxiety. Another reason for phone call anxiety is not being able to respond. Maybe you feel overwhelmed, maybe you feel ambushed. Like now when you see someone's call coming in and maybe it's from work, let me just use that example, maybe it's from work. You already start asking yourself, what is it that I can say? Yani unakosa kitu ya kusema. Yes. So you start wondering, if I receive this call, what is it that I can say? What is it that I can be able to tell these people? So you become overwhelmed, you become frustrated that this call, if I receive it, I may not have anything to say. Another thing that makes people have phone call anxiety is judgment. Judgment, you know, they are feeling like they will be judged. Like kuna calls sangine unapigiwa na unaulizwa uko wapi? When you are asked uko wapi, you wonder where are you not supposed to be? Unajiuliza kwani ni wapi siko supposed kuwa? So unaanza kufikiria, what do I tell this person? Nitamwambia niko wapi? Manake unaanza kufikiria, where am I not supposed to be? Maybe you're supposed to be at work na uko town, the nearest town. Maybe you're supposed to be at work, now you have rushed to the house, and then someone calls you and asks you uko wapi? Ama maybe you're supposed to be in class, you're not in class. Mtu anakupigia na kuuliza uko wapi? You know, so there are those anxieties concerning some of the questions that probably you may get from the call, and you are not ready to give an answer. Either you're not ready to lie, or you're not ready to just give any answer, and therefore you find it very difficult to do what? To answer that particular call. And then maybe you also do not have good listening skills. There are people who don't have good listening skills on phone. So you tell tell yourself, even if I receive this call, I will not be able to understand what this person is talking about. So for that reason, let me not answer the call. There are also people that are short-tempered, people that can easily quarrel. Wewe ushaona watu wamegombana kwa simu wakatupiana mkono na so maybe you are short-tempered. Maybe you are not able to give a lot of details when you are not seeing the person, because you know, when you're having a conversation on phone, you're not seeing the other person. So you may have maybe you're short-tempered, maybe your own personalities that actually make you fear to receive the phone call. Then there are people that you know, this person who is calling me will annoy me. You know, there are people who are just annoying and you know, huyu mtu amenipigia, tutakasirika tu. So let me not receive his call, or let me not receive her call. So there are all those reasons why people do not receive calls, or people have anxiety. Phone call anxiety. Sometimes I have said it can be a ringtone, maybe a ringtone of a certain, you know, there are these normal ringtones that come with the phones. There are some that are very annoying, by the way. So there are those, you probably received bad news and you remember that ringtone every now and then. So those are some of the reasons why people do not receive phone calls, or people have phone call anxiety. People have phone call anxiety because of all those reasons. But the listener can also tell us why they probably have this phone call anxiety. If they have phone call anxiety, if at one time or another they have not picked their calls, let them comment and tell us why they did not receive their calls. What was the reason? Sometimes maybe they are not in a comfortable place. Sometimes maybe it is just that they have decided not to receive for maybe the reasons that I've said. Let the listener also comment and say why phone call anxiety.
Bila shaka, huyo ni Madam Joyce Mugai ambaye ni Director of Career Services hapa Chuka University. Tuko hapa siku ya leo kuzungumzia swala nzima la wasiwasi wa kupokea simu ama kuandaa mazungumzo baina ya simu. Kuna watu ambao Madam Joyce Mugai katika familia mbalimbali unapata kwamba wazazi kuna umri ambao unapata kuna watoto mzazi ana believe kwamba ukishafika darasa la 8 pale ama ukishafika kidato cha kwanza ndio utapata simu. Kwa hivyo miaka ingine yote umelelewa bila simu. Kwa mazungumzo tu ambayo umekuwa ukipitia ni mazungumzo tu ya hana kwa hana, labda ukizungumza na mtu, hakuna simu ambayo umeshaishika mpaka ufike kidato labda cha 4.
Unajua, actually hata wewe umesema you have given a very good stage, maybe class 8. But there are people who you have to be in Form 4 to get a phone. There are people who you have to either go to college for you to be able to get a phone, or to be bought for a phone. So there are those stages that parents keep, that ukiwa primary huwezi pata simu, ukiwa secondary huwezi pata simu, maybe utapata simu ukiwa maybe umeenda college. Na kuna sababu pale why phone simu zimeleta mambo mingi. There are so many things that you can be able to access through calls, through phones. You can be able to access the internet, and the internet has so many things. In the internet you can get so many things. You can get information, very good information that can help you in studies or can help you in other things, but as well you can access things that you are not supposed to access, especially the age of these particular children. Maybe unaona mtu hajafikia class 8 ama mtu ako under 18 na kuna content in the internet that is not supposed to be accessed by people that are under 18. So those are some of the reasons parents don't buy phones for their children at a certain age. But of course, different parents have different decisions. There are those that will buy for their children the phones, but they will decide and they will educate them on what to do and what not to do with those particular phones. There are those that also buy for their children at class 8 or even secondary school, but that phone is basically for home communication. That they tell them this is what you'll be using to communicate in case you need something and I'm not at home. You can be able to communicate using this particular phone. So maybe they give them phones, but at different levels, having educated them or giving them information on what to access and what not to access. And again, those phones
Chuka University msikilizaji. Kwa hivyo kama kwa pale jamani, ungekuwa na swali, manake siku ya leo tunazungumzia swala nzima la phone call anxiety, pale mkipenda tena zaidi wasiwasi wa kupokea simu ama kuandaa mazungumzo kwa njia ya simu. Kama unataka kuwasiliana nasi basi nambari ya SMS 07023347 pale, udia swali lote pale utakuwa unajibiwa naye Madam Joyce Mugo. Karibu tena Madam.
Asante sana.
Awamu ya pili ya mjadala wetu asubuhi ya leo. Tukizidi na mjadala wetu ni kwamba nilikuwa nimekuambia hapo awali kabla tuondoke kwamba mimi nishaipitia utapeli kwa sababu shaipigiwa simu na mtu akajifanya hapa nini ametoka kwenye benki fulani kampatia mpaka account zangu akanifuliza kama anavyosema. Najua kuna msikilizaji pia shaipitia kile, labda najiuliza sasa hivi mnaniambia kwamba nisikuwe na shtuka nikipokea simu nishaitapeliwa, naweza msaidia vipi?
Okay, first of all nataka kushukuru. I want to thank those people that are watching us live from TikTok, which is Touch of Grace KE, and later on they can still go to our YouTube channel Touch of Grace KE and watch us from there, and also share, like, subscribe and leave a comment there. I want to appreciate Andy for her comment. She has said hello. I want to appreciate Lynn. She has also said hello. We really appreciate those of you who are online. Kindly leave a comment, and I would like to probably say something about myself. I am a psychological counselor and I am a career counselor. So any question to do with psychological challenges, you can always ask. Anything to do with career challenges, you can also ask. And I've also seen a comment from brand ambassador Chuka University, and therefore I really want to appreciate those of you who are watching us online. Now we've had conmen online. Not we've had, they are there even now. Bado wako hawa watu wa kukoni watu kwa kutumia simu. They are there. Na wengine hata wanakuita tu jina, wanakupigia, wanakuambia hello Joyce, tumeona hapa simu yako, tunaona hapa account yako imeshikana na ya mwingine, imeshikana na ya Christine. Hii account yako ya Equity imeshikana na ya Christine, na kwa hivyo tunataka tukusaidie. Hebu tupatie your PIN so that we can be able to help you to toe simu yako isishikane na ya nani? Na ya Christine. Naona account yako imekuwa registered mara mbili. So tunataka kukusaidia, ndio haitakikani ukuwe na hii the same account imeregister mara mbili. Wengine wanakuambia hivyo, ama wengine wanakutext wanakuambia tafadhali weka ile rent hapa kwa hii number, we have changed our account number and so on. Ama wengine wanajipose kama walimu, wanasema mtoto wako ameumia, tumempeleka hospitali fulani, kindly tuma 10,000 sahi ndio aweze kuhudumiwa, aweze kupelekwa operation ama theater or something like that. So kumekuwa na watapeli wengi kwa simu. Now wenye the ones that you are talking about are those wenye una receive call alafu wanakuambia kabla usikate simu yako, enda mahali fulani. Enda mahali fulani kwa simu yako, eka hii namba, eka ile namba, ama nitumie hiyo code nimekutumia saa hii, send me that code, like that. So those are some of the things that have been happening that actually have made people really be skeptical about receiving calls of people they don't know. Unaona mtu hawezi chukua simu kama si mtu anajua, hawezi kuchukua kwa sababu ya kupitia mambo kama hayo. But however, as much as we are fearing to pick strange calls or calls of people that we don't know, we are not ruling out the fact that kuna watu genuine hapo nje wanaweza kukupigia na huna namba zao, na probably kuna kitu wanataka either wakusaidie nacho ama uwasaidie nacho ama uwaelekeze in one way or another. Kwa hivyo watu wasiwe waoga kuchukua simu kwa sababu ya vitu kama hizo za kuwa conned. The only thing I can say is be careful that receive the call and listen carefully at what the person is saying. If you feel like this person is conning you, please just disconnect. Especially mambo ya simu, mambo ya M-Pesa, mambo ya bank account, mambo ya everything else that is sensitive. Ama mwingine anakupigia na kuambia tupatie pin yako, sijui nini tunafanya, tuko maintenance, sijui what, yani vitu kama hizo. Ama wengine wanakuthreaten, wanakuambia hii line yako itafungwa, so to avoid kufungwa hebu fanya hivi na fanya vile. tafadhali, kama si communication from Safaricom, and you would not know, actually you would not know it's not from Safaricom unless you know the numbers of Safaricom. Na hata kama ni from Safaricom ama Airtel ama bank fulani, there's those numbers that they usually use. So get to know the numbers and don't be too quick. Don't be too quick to send your PIN. Actually, never ever send your PIN. Don't be too quick to start returning ati kuna code imetumiwa so utume back and so on.
Usianze kujifanya
pamba. By the way, hakuna kitu utalose. Hata hiyo simu ikifungwa, acha ifungwe, utatafuta ingine. Hello, utatafuta ingine. Si lazima ikiwe hiyo laini, si ndio?
Sisi ambao tunasema kwamba
unawaambia wafunge.
Kuna sisi tunasema kwamba sisi ni watifu sana. Ishani code ambao si yangu na kulipia.
Hapana. Ni wewe umenitumia. Kwa hivyo wewe uko nayo. Si ni wewe umenitumia? Hiyo code nani ametuma? Si ni wewe umenitumia? Basi si wewe ndio uko nayo. Basi tumia hiyo code yako uko nayo. So I don't need to send it back. Then kuna hao wanakutumia message na ni message yao, wanakutumia message alafu wanakuambia nimekutumia pesa hapo ambayo nilikuwa natuma hospitali, tafadhali nirudishie. Please don't do that. Waambie tu waende Safaricom wa reverse. Let them just reverse. So kuna vitu kama hizo zinaendelea and therefore people should be careful.
Mjadala hapo unaendelea kukua moto, msikilizaji, asubuhi ya leo nakwambia mambo si mambo hapa. Lakini kabla tumalizie hili jambo, lazima kuna kitu ambacho tunataka tuzungumzia pale. How to overcome the phone anxiety. Kwa sababu tumezungumza causes zake pale, tukajua ni jinsi gani ambavyo unapata kwamba kuna watu ambao wanajipata katika ule wasiwasi wa kupokea simu. Tunataka kujua kwamba ni njia zipi ambazo
how to overcome phone call anxiety. One of the ways to overcome phone call anxiety is to receive the call, which may look like it is the same thing anyway. I'm fearing to pick the call and you're telling me to do what? To receive it. The reason why I'm saying you receive the call is because we have something called systematic desensitization. Systematic desensitization is that which you fear which does not warrant you to fear, because there are things that warrant you to fear and you need to fear them. But there are things that you fear that you should not fear. So if you are fearing something that you should not fear, we encourage someone to go through systematic desensitization, where you are exposed, or exposure therapy, where you are exposed to the same thing over and over again until you stop fearing. It's like when you have a young baby and the baby is growing, and then the baby starts learning the environment, and maybe there is a cat in the home. There is a cat in that home. Na huyu mtoto anaogopa cat kabisa, hata akiona analia, ana throw tantrums and so on. So this child is going through trauma because of the cat in the home, and you cannot do away with the cat. Labda hiyo cat inakusaidia, kuna vile inakusaidia. Kwa hivyo you can't do away with the cat. So what do you do with the baby? You do systematic desensitization. You yourself, you hold the baby, then you touch the cat as you talk to the baby and tell the baby, this cat is not harmful. Ebu iguse hata wewe uone kama, you know, it is not harmful. So when the child sees you doing that, and slowly when the child starts touching the cat, they get used to it, and therefore they stop fearing. That is what we call systematic desensitization, or we call exposure therapy. Exposure therapy is when you are fearing something, you do it. You do it over and over again until you are used to doing it. And that's why I'm saying, if you have phone call anxiety, please receive your call. Just pick your call. Just say hello in the call. Say hi. You know, have short, casual conversation. You can even start calling your friends, your relatives, those that know you, and you have casual conversation. Just casual conversation. How are you? How, you know, just normal conversation that will not necessarily bring you anxiety. So the first thing that they need to do is to pick their calls, or to have systematic desensitization, or to have exposure therapy. That's the first thing that they need to do. The other thing that they need to do when that phone call rings, they need to breathe in and breathe out. Yes, breathe in, breathe out, relax your body, have a comfortable posture, relax your body, and then consciously make a decision that I'm going to receive this call. I do not know what they're telling me, they are going to tell me. I do not expect bad news, but I'll receive and listen to what they are telling me. So you do it consciously. Breathe in, breathe out, relax, talk to yourself, and pick the call. The other thing that you need to do is to feel in charge and to feel important in the call. To feel important. Yes, just tell yourself, kama umepigiwa, then wewe ni wa maana. Kama umepigiwa, then there is something important. Kama umepigiwa, then huyo mtu anakuhitaji, isn't it? So stop looking at yourself or demeaning yourself and making yourself feel like you are down there, na huyu mtu ako more superior than you, and therefore you start fearing what they are telling you. Even if it's your boss, if your boss has called you, it means you are important and there is something they need from you. So start feel important and feel like these people that are calling you, they need you in one way or another. So you should not fear to pick that call. By the way, kuna jokes huwa zinaendelea, kuna watu wanakuanga wako wababi sana wakiwa kwa group ya my friends, but when their wives call, then
unashtuka jamani, nataka
unashtuka how they behave, quietly, calm, talking in a very, polite manner, and so on. Sauti inapungua. Anyway, receive your call, feel important, and breathe in, breathe out, receive the call, respond in a friendly way. That's another thing that you need to do. Respond in a friendly way. Don't be agitated on phone. Kuna watu unawapigia simu, akireceive unasikia tayari yako agitated, ameshakasirika na wewe tayari. So don't be agitated on phone, just receive the call. And if it's someone you know, you can say hello Mr. James, hello Anthony, hello so and so, hello madam, hello Madam Joyce, or something like that. Just receive the phone call in a polite way and answer in a polite way. If it is not somebody you know, just receive hello and then ask them, how can I help you? How can I be of help to you? So just receive. Then the other thing which now people really need to do is do not overthink. Do not overthink, because this overthinking is what makes people not to receive their calls. This overthinking, this asking yourself, nini anataka kuniambia, negative thought, nani amekufa. If there are people who even think wakiona phone call ya kutoka nyumbani ama ushago, wanaweza kusema sasa nani amekufa, ama nani mgonjwa, ama nini kibaya kimetendeka, what is happening. So do not overthink. When you are receiving your call, do not overthink. And tell you anyway, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, because it is true. Then you can also tell yourself, even if people are dying and people are living, tell yourself, to die is Christ and to live is God. To live is God. To die is Christ, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Actually, that's what it says. For me to live is Christ and to die is gain. So you tell yourself that. Tell yourself positive things so that you do not overthink. You do not overthink when you are receiving a call. And then answer and tell them you'll call them later. You can do that. You can answer and tell them that you'll call them later. Or you'll talk to them later, because probably there is something that they need and maybe they'll continue to call you. So to avoid that, just text them back and tell them, I'll call you back. I will talk to you later. Kindly text. You have answered, but you have not engaged in a conversation. You've only told them, I will call you back. Hello, kindly let me call you back. Kindly let me call you in a minute. That one gives you time to now relax and to reduce the tension. To relax and to reduce the tension. Especially if it is something that you need to make a decision on. Don't make a decision on call if you are not comfortable making a decision on call. Just tell them, I will call you back, or I'll talk to you later, and then give me some few minutes, I'll talk to you later, and that will be okay. So young people, do not put your phone calls on do not disturb mode. Especially mukija university. Unajua kuna kuanga na period ya individuation. Nimetoka huko, niko hapa, niko peke yangu. This is me now and myself. And therefore sometimes you look for them, you call them, they don't pick, you know, the phone is either off or sometimes it rings and nobody is picking. Let's not have anxiety of picking our calls. All is well until you are told it is not well. But don't overthink and think it's not well, and then you shake and then you sweat and then you perspire there, you know, you shake in the phone as you are receiving the call and so on. Please do not do that. If anything is wrong, you will be told, but don't overthink.
Kiara kutoka Mikaona anasema kwamba yeye mpaka asikize simu ambayo ni mpya mara 2. Ukinipigia mara 1, anasema shiki.
Sichukui. Anangojea kwanza mpaka isikie mara 2 na mara 3 ndio aweze kufanya nini? Ndio aweze kuchukua. While that is okay, but we really need to know how to pick our calls without necessarily becoming anxious. And if it is somebody that you don't want, utaki mambo yake, mwambie I'll call you back. I'll call you later. But for instance, unaweza kataa kuchukua simu na kumbe it's a call that is very very important. It's a call that is very very important. So it's very important for us to pick our calls.
Labda tukimalizia hapa tupate maswali 2-3 kutoka kwa wasikilizaji, maana umeshatuma SMS hapa na pale. Nasema good morning, listen you from Chuka Town, naitwa Suzy. How do I identify my worst fear?
How do I
identify my worst fear?
My worst fear.
Kutoka maeneo ya Kahuni.
Okay. Normally when someone has fear, by the way, there are people that are just they have anxiety and they don't know what that anxiety is all about. So it's very very important for you to be able to know what this fear is all about. When you get the fear or the anxiety, pause. Wherever you are, sit still or stand still and ask yourself, what is it that is bringing me anxiety? You will be able to trace the source of the anxiety. Then once you trace the source of the anxiety, you ask yourself, is it justified? Do I really need to have this particular fear? So you do that. You will be able to identify the source of your anxiety. By the way, what happens, now let me talk about myself. What happens to me when I'm just continuing with my daily duties throughout the day.
Right.
There are times when you will probably have received a call or a text or a comment from somebody. As you are walking, as you are chatting with people, you get a comment from somebody. And that comment dampens your spirit. So as you move on, you feel your spirit is not the way it was. Spirit yako imekuwa disturbed kidogo. What I normally do, I just pause. Then I ask myself, what is making me feel this way? And when I trace my steps back, when I trace myself back, I will know. Maybe it's a comment from somebody, maybe it is a statement from somebody, maybe it is a question from somebody, maybe it is a call, maybe it is a message. And I'll be able to know where that one is coming from. So that's what she needs to do. Suzy, that's what she needs to do to be able to identify, to be able to pause and to identify what is it that is making me have this particular anxiety. It is possible.
All right.
Yes.
Anasema good morning, salimia Madam Joyce Mgoi sana.
Nimesalimika.
Kutoka Marima tunawapata loud and clear. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Anasema good morning, nawapata vizuri kutoka maeneo ya Mteja. Napata loud and clear kwa Marimati.
Asante.
Hadi tamati.
Asante.
Madam Joyce Mgoi, kuna mtu aliniambia you have to fake it until you make it. Wakati ambapo unajaribu tu fake it, unachukuaga tu simu ambazo ni nambari mpya. So kuna fake tu unachukua unasikiza mpaka you make it. I think that's a good strategy.
Fake it until you make it.
Sure.
What we are saying is that keep calling and keep picking.
Sure.
Keep calling and keep picking, but be as calm as possible. If it's a conversation you don't want to have, say I will call you back or I'll get to you. Just as simple as that, and the anxiety will go, and slowly by slowly you'll be okay.
Labda maneno yako ya mwisho tukikamilisha.
Maneno yangu ya mwisho is that we need to continue to have these conversations. Anything that is psychological in nature, anything that is career in nature, kindly get in touch with us. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Comment, make a comment at in our YouTube channel, Touch of Grace KE, in our TikTok channel, Touch of Grace KE, and also they can send you a message here at the radio station and we'll be able to know what the listeners want us to talk about. But what I desire is for people to be psychologically well. Thank you.
Asante sana. Amekuwa ni Madam Joyce Mugoi kwenye mjadala wetu asubuhi ya leo, mjadala ambao ulianza pale saa 2:20 pale. Sasa hivi tunakamilisha basi, tukiwa tunampisha mwanahabari wetu timu hapo saa 3 kamili tupashe habari kwa lugha ya Kiswahili. Kwa hivyo umeshajua pale jinsi ya kuachana na wasiwasi wa kupokea simu na jinsi ambavyo unafaa kuzungumza wakati ambapo umepikiwa na nambari ambayo ni mpya. Kitu iko kesi tunasema kesi closed. Hakuna kitu ambacho unahitaji pale zaidi msikilizaji. Seeking support, fake it until you make it, and nobody is perfect by the way.
That is
and
true.
Focus on the goal of the call. Dakika 55